Jake Harper pulled his truck onto the gravel driveway, dust rising behind the tires. He hadn't seen this place in nearly a decade, yet every detail, from the crumbling wooden fence to the wildflowers sprouting along the path, was etched in memory. The valley smelled of wet earth and pine, scents that carried him back to childhood summers spent chasing frogs along the creek with his grandfather. He stepped out, letting the cool morning air fill his lungs. His hands instinctively grazed the fence posts, feeling the splinters bite lightly into his palms. Grandpa Harper had taught him everything here: how to mend fences, how to navigate the creek, how to dream beyond the valley's hills. Memories flooded him, sharp and warm, but so did the pain of loss. The old man had passed years ago, leaving Jake the land he barely knew he could claim. Jake's own life had been a whirlwind. The military had disciplined him, yes, but it had also left him untethered. After returning home, jobs were scarce, bills piled up, and ambition often collided with circumstance. Now, standing on this land, he felt both hope and fear. Hope for a fresh start, fear at the enormity of the responsibility. He wandered toward the creek, shoes sinking into muddy banks. The water ran shallow, sluggish, blocked by fallen branches and debris. "This wasn't always like this," he muttered, kneeling to examine a dam of wood and mud that had formed. He could remember Grandpa telling him, "Water finds its way, son, but you have to help it sometimes." Something wasn't right. Jake's instincts, honed in both combat and engineering, detected a disturbance. The creek had been altered, deliberately. A black SUV rolled down the gravel road, engine humming. Out stepped a sharply dressed woman carrying a clipboard. Her heels clicked against the rocks, a sound almost comical against the rustic silence. "Jake Harper?" she asked, eyes cold but professional. "That's me," Jake said cautiously. "I'm Melissa Green." "Homeowners Association," she announced, unfurling the clipboard like a weapon. "We've recently expanded development in this area." Jake followed her gaze and felt his stomach drop. Rows of half-built houses now stood where his grandfather's orchard and grazing fields had once thrived. "This land, it's mine," Jake said, disbelief lacing his tone. Melissa smiled faintly, as though pitying his ignorance. "Plans change. The HOA has permits. Legally, there's nothing you can do." Jake felt a spark ignite inside him. He had nothing. No money, no lawyers, no powerful allies. But he had skills, knowledge, and determination. And he would need every ounce of it. Jake didn't react with anger. He watched. He analyzed. He mapped the creek's flow, measured water levels, and observed construction schedules. He took meticulous notes in a worn notebook, the kind his grandfather used for fishing logs. He met Miguel, a neighbor whose farm bordered the affected land. Miguel was wary at first, but soon they shared frustrations about the HOA's reckless expansion. "You ever think," Miguel said one afternoon, leaning on a fence post, "that some people just don't care about history?" "Some people care only about profit," Jake replied, scanning the half-built homes for structural weaknesses. "But we'll make them care." One way or another, then there was Mrs. Chen, the elderly orchard owner. She brought family maps showing the creek's original path. Her hands trembled as she spread the parchment on Jake's hood. "This creek has sustained our families for generations. It cannot be destroyed." Jake nodded, understanding that this wasn't just about land. It was about legacy, about the valley itself. Night after night, Jake studied engineering manuals and water flow charts. His military training gave him patience. His grandfather's lessons gave him intuition. He built scaled models of the creek, simulating various flow scenarios. He marked weak points along the dam upstream, noting where the HOA had made errors in grading and drainage. On one cold evening, he whispered to himself, "Precision is everything. One misstep, and it's all over." It was during these nights that Jake truly came alive. The plans became an obsession, and the dream of restoring the creek became a mission. Jake couldn't do this alone. He called a meeting at Miguel's farm, inviting neighbors and anyone who remembered the valley before the HOA's invasion. "This creek has fed us for generations," Jake told them, voice steady but urgent. "We can't let it die. We can't let them erase our past for profit." Farmers, gardeners, and even some former HOA employees showed up. They contributed labor, tools, and information. Mrs. Chen's maps became guides. Miguel's tractors became mobile equipment stations. Jake realized the fight was no longer solitary. It had become a community effort. The real work began at night. They cleared debris, reinforced banks, and restored the creek's flow in sections. Each move had to be careful. One miscalculation could flood fields or alert the HOA. Jake oversaw every detail, checking water pressure, soil stability, and erosion risks. The creek slowly came alive, trickling first, then rushing more boldly. Fish returned, birds nested along the banks, and for the first time in months, hope sparkled in the valley. One morning, Melissa Green appeared unannounced. "Mr. Harper, stop this immediately," she said sharply. "You're trespassing, and you're interfering with legal development plans." Jake met her gaze evenly. "You built over our land. You destroyed our creek. I'm fixing what you broke." They clashed in words and threats. Police were called, but Jake had evidence: photographs, maps, and dozens of eyewitnesses. The HOA's legal team realized that this fight was bigger than a property dispute. It was a battle for the valley itself. Months of preparation culminated in the final moment. Jake had reinforced the dam's weak points and created controlled release channels. He coordinated with the community, signaling them silently. With precision, the water surged through the openings. It followed the creek's original path, filling dry beds, carving new channels, and reclaiming its legacy. Homes built illegally were damaged. The water respected natural boundaries, as if the valley itself was alive. Neighbors cheered, tears streaming. Birds and wildlife returned. The creek roared in triumph. Legal battles followed, but Jake's careful documentation ensured success. The HOA was fined, some constructions removed, and restoration projects funded. Miguel's farm thrived again. Mrs. Chen's orchard bloomed. Jake finally felt at peace, standing by the restored creek. Sunlight danced on the water, reflecting the valley's rebirth. Jake realized true strength was not in wealth or brute force, but in planning, courage, and unity. The creek sang louder than ever, a testament to resilience and determination. He had faced loss, uncertainty, and injustice, and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. Thank you so much for watching this story till the end. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something from it. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, full of life lessons, drama, and emotions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Your support means the world, and it helps me keep bringing you more inspiring and unforgettable stories. Stay tuned, because more amazing stories are on the way.